Hi, I'm James Sanaway, Director of Marketing at Epilog Laser. Thanks for joining us here at our global headquarters in Golden, Colorado. We appreciate you taking some time out of your day to be with us. Today we're going to be talking about how a small laser system from Epilog can help you to create or expand your business and product offerings. We receive a lot of requests for information on how a small desktop laser can be a great, relatively inexpensive tool for starting a business. Today we'll be discussing not only how a laser can make you money, but also save you money by giving you the ability to bring in-house so many of your current projects. We'll demonstrate how the laser systems work and how you can create unique products with an Epilog laser system. First, a little bit about Epilog. Epilog Laser was formed in 1988 with the idea of creating a small format, high-performance laser system for engraving and cutting all types of materials. We manufacture all of our systems in the USA, right here at our headquarters in Golden, Colorado, and I'm very proud to be able to say that over 95% of the parts in our laser systems are made in the US. We manufacture both CO2 and fiber laser systems and offer a variety of sizes and laser wattages to meet your needs. Today we're going to be focusing on the CO2 laser line, which are the most versatile of our lasers. The ability to engrave and/or cut wood, acrylic, plastic, marble, glass, and much more. Originally designed for the awards industry, the laser quickly became a necessary tool in award and trophy shops. Over the years, as the prices of the laser have lowered, the lasers have moved into a wide variety of industries, for everything from photo engraving, glass etching, pet urns, architectural modeling. We have an award here, anodized aluminum, paper cutting, artistic pieces like this 3D engraving on a skateboard, and even a 3D model. As you can see, it's an incredibly versatile machine which lends itself perfectly to starting or expanding a business. When you're looking at a laser, you aren't just looking at a tool. It's truly a tool that you can use to make your ideas and put them on almost any material. We're going to start over here with our Epilog Zing laser. It comes in two configurations, a Zing 16 and a Zing 24. The small desktop format of the Epilog Zing made it a quick favorite of our customers first looking to get into engraving. Zing 16 features a 16 by 12 inch engraving area and comes in 30 and 40 watt configurations. It's quickly become a very popular laser system for its combination of small size, low cost, and high resolution engraving. Now, you may have seen some of the lower cost laser systems in the market. These are glass laser tube systems. We manufacture metal laser tubes with ceramic components that are much longer lasting, the typical life of 3 to 5 years before they need to be recharged. Our tubes are air-cooled, while the glass laser tubes are water-cooled, which makes the systems not as safe to operate. We're also able to fire our laser tubes at much faster rates, allowing us to get the high engraving quality that Epilog is famous for. Let's look in at our Zing 24 system as it engraves. Here we're engraving on our Epilog Zing 24. It's the larger of our two Zing models. It has a 24 by 12 inch work area, and it's popular because many engraving materials come in a 24 by 12 inch sheet. The table's motorized and will move down up to 7 3/4 inches, which is a really nice feature to allow you to fit larger materials in the laser system. The Zing series uses high-speed stepper motors that, while not quite as fast as our Legend or Fusion series, still allow us to achieve incredible engraving quality, as you can see here. Here we're engraving our famous Aztec calendar, probably the sample that we're most known for. You won't find another small format laser system that can engrave this graphic at this size at such high speeds. Now we're starting to do the cut. You can see we're using our optional vector cutting grid, which allows the laser beam to pass through the wood as the laser cuts without backside burning, which makes it a really great option to add to your laser. You can see the laser just cuts right through this wood. It's an 1/8 inch alder here, and it just does a beautiful job with the edge quality. Now that it's done, let's go in. You can see it just pops right out. It's not hot to the touch or anything. Oh yeah, that's a beautiful engraving. Now next up, what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to do a quick project setup for the laser using the computer. Now a really nice feature of the Epilog laser is that it's operated just like a printer, so you can connect it to your computer just like a printer as well. is hook it up through a USB cable, or a really nice feature of our systems is the ability to network the lasers throughout your facility with a built-in Ethernet connection. Let's say your graphic designer is working on one office and wants to work at their computer, then print to the laser that's on the shop floor. The network laser makes this very easy. Or if you have multiple people that are designing the laser, it works well. Or better yet, when your business grows and you need multiple lasers to keep up with your workload, you can print to all of your lasers from any computer on the network. Now you can use almost any graphic software program to print with the laser. We have users on Illustrator, Photoshop, AutoCAD, signage software, and many more. Here we're using CorelDRAW. It's inexpensive, feature-filled graphic layout software that works really well for designing your laser engraving and cutting projects. Now, a common question we were asked by people looking at getting into lasers is, do I have to be a designer to be successful? The good news is no. Most projects just take a good eye. Knowing what fonts look good, making sure you're not trying to fit too many graphics on the page, keeping the design clean and interesting. But that being said, if you're good at graphic software, you're already 90% ready to start using the laser. We'll show just how easy this really is. Here in CorelDRAW, we're going to start by setting our page size. You want your page size to match the size of the piece that you're engraving. And I've already measured it and know that it is going to be 5 inches wide by 6 inches tall. So now I can see the area that I need to lay out my graphic. So being in Colorado, I thought a good graphic to use for this sample would be the Colorado Rockies. Even though they're not having a great season, I will still love them and engrave this for you. So we're just going to go ahead and fit it in here, and I'm going to resize it to the size that I want it to fit. And now to center it, all I'm going to do is hit the P key, and it's going to be centered exactly on the Kleenex box. So I think we're all ready to print now. So we'll go ahead and go to File, and we'll choose Print. And now here you can see that all of our lasers that we've installed are listed in our print menu. So I'm printing the Zing laser, so I'm going to go ahead and select that and hit Preferences. Now this is the print driver for the laser. It's where you really control all of the settings you're going to be using. We're going to start out with resolution. And now this is going to be how high quality the engraving is. And it kind of depends on the material as to what you set here. For wood, I usually use 500 dots per inch and get a really great engraving, so we'll keep that. I'm just going to change the job type to raster, because we're only going to be sending over an engraving. Vector would be a cutting job, or if you have both, use combined. So like in that Aztec calendar sample, it was a combined mode because it used both engraving and cutting within the same job. Now I set my raster speed. Now I'm going to use, I know it's a 60 watt laser, so I'm going to use 100% speed and 100% power. I'm going to change the engraving direction to bottom up, and I will set a dithering pattern. Now this is just kind of adjust the dot pattern within your graphic. So I like Jarvis when I'm engraving on wood. Next up, we have to set our piece size, so we're just going to match that page size we set up in Corel. So 5 inches by 6 inches, and everything looks good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And I can see the graphic right here on my page laid out correctly, just like I want it to look. I'm going to hit OK, and it's good to go. Okay, so we're back at the laser and we're ready to get it all set up for that bamboo Kleenex box. So we're going to start out by taking out our vector grid, because we're not going to be doing any cutting in this job. It comes out nice and easy. We've got our engraving table right underneath, so we'll just set that aside. Now I'm going to grab the bamboo box, you can see here, just set it inside the laser. And to make sure it's down low enough, I'm just going to move the table down just a little bit. Yep, fits fine. This is our manual focus gauge. It's a spring-loaded gauge that'll allow you to easily move the laser up until it's just touching the piece that you're engraving. Now you know you're 2 inches away from the 2-inch focal point, which is perfect. Hit reset to get that out of the way. Now we're putting this at the 0, 0 point in the table. This will match up with where we've set it up within CorelDRAW. You've actually got a lot of options with how to position your project within the laser. You can do center engraving with the Zing, you can do a different home position, I can move it out anywhere on the table and set a new home, so it just gives you a lot of different options. But this is definitely the easiest way. So I've got it up in the corner. I'm just gonna shut the door here. And I'll hit go. Open up the fan a little bit to get all that smoke out. Now lasers need to be exhausted, so you're going to want to use some type of exhaust unit with your system. It can either be external exhaust, or the other option is to get an internal filtration system. A lot of people will use that in mall setups or in offices where they can't actually exhaust the outside. You can see the laser is actually very fast on the Zing system. It's doing a really nice back and forth motion. One of the things you're going to see different between our laser and a lot of lasers is how quickly it's turning around. On many systems you'll actually see a pause on each side. It hits a very high speed in the middle, but the pauses on the side cause the throughput to be a little bit slower than our systems. I'm really glad we chose bamboo for this engraving because it creates such a nice dark tone to the engraved area. It's really dependent on how the laser interacts with the different woods. I really enjoy using like an alder or a cherry wood as well. You also get a nice darkness there. A maple is going to be a little bit more subtle, but it does a beautiful job, especially with photographs. Now, how does something like this translate into starting a business? Well, products that you customize are a great way to start a business because you're taking a simple base product and making it one of a kind. Imagine you took a product like this Kleenex box and you design a few custom designs for it. Maybe say some flower designs, stripes, dots, things that look good in a modern bathroom. It doesn't have to be a sports logo. You've already taken this product to the next level at that point. And the price can easily be 3 or 4 times as high just because you customized it with a laser. The earning potential with a laser system is significant, regardless of whether you're specializing in the type of products you offer or not. There's really just a few basic engraving categories that are very profitable. One's the gifts and awards industry. It's a growing industry with a high profit potential because you're providing both the product and the engraving service. Signage is a big one for a lot of our customers. It's a large market with many opportunities, from informational signs, plaques, desktop nameplates, almost anything that you could use for signage within a company. Industrial engraving is big as well. It's putting logos on parts, tools, barcodes, all types of things like that. You'll probably see this more with our fiber laser system, which engraves into metal, but the CO2 is definitely used for customizing the logos of companies onto these products as well. Now you're seeing a little bit of darkness coming up around the engraving area, and that's actually sap coming out of the wood, a little bit of engraving debris. This is the reason that we're doing the bottom-up engraving, so that as much smoke as possible is pulling out of the system over the unengraved area as possible. Now all of this extra sap and different debris will actually just wipe off with water, which is really nice. There we go, 5.5 minutes total. So you can come in here, a little wet rag, wipe off that excess. You can see since it's already finished wood, it comes off really, really easily. Oh yeah, that's really nice. Set right here for you see. You can see how nicely that differentiated in color. Now you could use a lot of different graphics to actually do the different pieces as well. Here's another one that we have with a flower design and snowflakes. So it's a popular one for a household decoration as well. So next up what we're going to do is we're actually going to move over to our Mini 24 system. I'm going to go ahead and set up a graphic for it. So let's move back to the computer. What we're going to do is engrave on an iPhone cover, and so a wood one. And I think what I'm going to show you now is center engraving. This is one of my favorite features. It makes it really nice. You don't actually have to change the size of your page and measure everything out. So if I'm running through custom jobs where I will have a bunch of different sizes, this makes it very fast and easy. So I'll just delete my logo there and actually have this one all set up to go. So I'm just going to hit paste. what we're going to do is run this butterfly image. Now I've measured on the iPhone cover, and I know that I've got about 2 inches wide by 2.5 inches tall for an engraving area that I want to stay within. So I'm going to take this and just make it a little bit smaller. And you can see up here what the sizes are. Now to customize it and make it really custom, what we're going to do is add in a name. So I'm going to add in a name, Sierra here. Zoom in a little so we can see it better. And we'll choose a font. And you never want to give people too many choices on fonts because they can spend all day choosing, which is kind of fun, but can make the projects a little longer. So they've got that all set up. Now I'm going to show you one of my favorite features, which is our preview feature. So we'll go ahead and group this, and I'm going to set up a box around the outside of this image. So I just hit Control Shift, double click on the box. You can see it lines up directly with the edges of my image then. And I'll go up here and set a vector width of hairline. Now what this is the laser actually decides what you want to engrave and what you want to cut based on line width. So if you set it to hairline or 0.004 of an inch or less, it knows that that's a line that you want the laser to follow as if it's cutting rather than engrave. Here we're not going to actually cut, we're going to run it with the door open so that we can see where exactly this is going to show up on our iPhone case. So first I'll send over this, so I'm just going to hit print and choose my laser. We've moved over from the Zing to the mini line, so let's go ahead and choose that. And page size doesn't matter because this is going to be a center engraving job, so I'll turn on center engraving and autofocus. And I'm going to go to vector for this one because we need to see where it's going to engrave. I'm going to set a speed of about 28. I'll just turn the power off because we're not actually firing the laser. And I think we're good. So hit OK and OK. Now that one's over there. And while I'm here, I'll just go ahead and send over the other job as well. So I will delete that vector line because we don't need that anymore. And I'm just going to print again. Let the mini helix still. Now everything's set up the same, but the only thing I'm going to change is I'll turn off autofocus because we'll have already focused it. I'm going to turn it down to 400 dots per inch because I think that'll be good for this graphic. Set raster engraving. I'll do 100 and 100 again. And we'll choose Jarvis for image dithering. And I'll go bottom up as well. Okay, and okay, and it has printed. Okay, so we're back at the laser. This is our Mini 24 laser. It's one of my favorite for doing custom items because of all the nice positioning features on it. You can see here I've got a red dot pointer on. The Zing has this as well, but it's really nice because I can see exactly where the laser is going to fire. So I'm going to use movable home position. So all I do is hit X, Y off, go. This has disabled my axes, so I can move the laser anywhere that I want to set my new home. I'm just going to line it up here. And we do several shows every year where we do custom engraving all day long. And these features make it really easy to go through the hundreds of phones and tablets and covers, all different sizes that we have to do at these shows. It allows us not to have to exactly measure each piece. You can just have the size of the area that you want to engrave in, set a home position, be ready to go. It just makes it really quick to move from custom item to custom item. So set home, that's my new home position. That's really all there is to it. So I've set my two jobs over here. The first one was the vector line preview. So I'm just going to leave the door open. And what this is going to allow me to do is run the laser without it firing. It'll still show that red dot pointer, but it's not going to actually fire the laser. This is a Class 2 laser system. It's fully enclosed. It will not run if the doors are open. Makes it very safe to use. So you can see I'm a little bit close to the opening at the top. So all I'm going to do is just adjust my home a little bit. Let's hit X, Y off, go down about 1/4 inch, set home. I'll hit go again. Now I can see that I'm positioned exactly where I want. If I'm doing custom engraving, I might ask the person that I'm going to engrave for, and you look at that, make sure it looks perfectly positioned. They can eyeball it as well. And that looks good. So I'll just move down to the new job, which is my engraving job. I'm going to focus this, so I'll manually focus it. This also has autofocus on it as well. Let's see, that moved out, so I'm just going to move this out a little bit. Keep the table up. And reset. Set that back at the middle point. Close the door up, and I'll go. Now you may notice we ran this at 400 dots per inch from the computer. What this allows us to do is engrave at a much faster speed. Basically, we're engraving 400 lines over every inch that it's passing over, rather than 600, so you're cutting it down quite a bit. 400 dots per inch is great for wood. We have a lot of customers that engrave almost everything at 400 compared to 600 dots per inch because the quality is still so high resolution. One of the nice features of this laser series, the Legend series, has servo motors, and this runs at about 30% faster than the Zing. It gives you really high speed engraving as it's going back and forth. And once again, you see no pause on either side of the line. It just goes back and forth very, very quickly. It also ignores white space just like the Zing, so if the graphic only covers part of your page, it's only going to go as far as it's seeing pixels. Okay, we're done. Minute 24 to do a custom iPhone case. Quick, easy, you've got a really personalized piece there. Now, some other features that I really like on the mini series is our job save and delete feature. If I'm running multiples of a job and I've tested a setting, I want to make sure that I get rid of the one that was not the settings I wanted to use, I could just hit delete. That's going to take it off the computer for me. If I hit job save, what that is this has permanent memory at the laser. So I could pull up that job the next day without ever having to actually go back to the computer to set it up again. It's a great feature to use for jobs that you run consistently with the laser. So next up, what we're going to do is talk a little bit about color mapping. We're going to use this feature to set up 3 iPhones cases all at the same time. So let's move back to the computer. So now that we're back at the computer, I've already pulled up this next graphic. What we're going to do is we've got another of those wood iPhone cases like we just engraved, and then I've got 2 plastic ones that are the same size, just a different material. So a quick way to set up multiples across the table, what we did here was I had measured out the phone, and each phone was 2.5 inches by 5 inches for the size of the cover. So I just set up 3 boxes so I could see exactly where those are going to be. Then I placed my graphics to match up on the table. So basically this is a quick way to see exactly where I want to set up graphics for multiple items. So since I've got 2 different materials, I'm going to have 2 different settings that I want to use for speed and power. So what I'm going to use is color mapping. So this first one, I'm going to set to red. So the wood one will be red settings. And the plastic ones I will set to blue. Now with just those 3 pieces selected, I'll print. Going to the minis, that's good. I'm going to do selection only. I'm going to turn autofocus on this time, show you how that one works. No center engraving. This has actually been set up to the 0, 0 top left-hand corner point. Set up raster, and I will set my page size to match. So 24 inches by 12 inches, same size as the table. Now this engraving setting I can ignore, so this is going to be any black in my image. But I'll move over to the color mapping tab. have color mapping engaged. And here's my different settings that I can use to different colors. So it's going to engrave in the order that these are listed: red, blue, green, so on. So red, I'm going to set my wood setting. So I'll set that to 100 speed, 100 power. And I'll click this button to move it over there. And then blue is going to be plastic settings. Now I know for plastic, I don't need as much power, so I'll just go ahead and set that all the way to 100. And power, I'm going to take down to about 15%. And I'll move that over. Go back to my general tab, just make sure I've got everything else. I'm going to do top-down engraving, standard, everything looks good. Okay. Okay. And it's moved over to the laser. Okay, so we're back at the laser. Now I've got my custom home position still, so this is really easy to reset. So all you hit is maintenance, go down to restore home. This is a nice feature of the laser. So many of the commands are right in the display panel. So the first one I did was wood, and I've got my 2 plastic pieces. So I'm ready to go. I've got my job there. See, it's job number 5. It's going to autofocus, so I'll just shut that down and hit go. So now you can see the table came up, it hit the plunger, and it's going to move down to exactly 2 inches below. So since we use different settings in the 3 phones, it's going to first engrave the wood setting, which was that red piece, and then it'll move over and do both of the blue at the same time. If I had these all filled up with just wood, I could run it across the entire table, save a lot of time. For example, if one piece takes a minute and a half, if I filled up this entire table, you'd probably be down to about 45 seconds or so to do each one if you were doing 15 or however many fit across the table. Now you notice I did not run this at 400 dpi, I didn't change it like I did in the other one. So this is going to be a little bit higher resolution. I find on plastics that a lot of times the 600 is probably what I want to use most of the time. Some people still use 400 and get a great engraving. It just kind of depends on the graphic. Lasers are truly garbage in, garbage out, though. You want to have the best graphic you can. If it's not going to look good when you print it to paper, it's not going to look good when you engrave it. Like, for example, you can't take a photograph off the web and expect it to engrave well, because usually that's going to be about 72 dots per inch. And when you're trying to engrave at 300 or 600 dots per inch, that's just not going to come out well. It's always fun doing custom items for people as they watch their phones being engraved. They kind of get to see a creation being made with the laser. People get really excited to see that type of thing. So there we go. Those 3 engravings took about 4 minutes and 38 seconds total. You can see that these came out with a really nice yellow tint to them. It has a yellow coloring underneath that plastic, which gives it a really neat look, especially on that octopus in the sun. Let me go ahead and set these down so you can get a closer look. So next up, what we're going to do is we'll move back to the Zing, and we'll do some leather engraving and show you how a photograph is processed through PhotoLaser Plus. Okay, we're ready to set up our leather photo engraving, and we're going to use Engrave Labs PhotoLaser Plus here. This is a great piece of software for when you're engraving on different materials with photographs, especially wood, leather, marble, things like that. So what we're going to do is first we'll set the page size. This is going to be the size of the piece for engraving, which is going to be 3.5 by 4.5 inches. Click OK. Then we have a preview of that page area. Just like we had in CorelDRAW, we'll just lay out our image right on there. So next up, I'm going to import my photo. This is on my desktop, and it's Cowboy 2. Import that in. And now I'm just going to resize it. So I'm just going to make it just a tiny bit wider in the page and move it into place. You can see this is a really detailed photo. There's a lot of interesting characteristics to this photograph's face that should come out really nice in the leather. So all I need to do now is set the image size. And you want to set this to the size of the resolution that you're going to actually be engraving. So we're going to engrave this at 500 dots per inch. I'll apply that. Now transform photo laser interactive. Now these are preset settings for all types of different materials in here. You can see there's acrylic, anodized, all types of things set up. What you're going to want to look for are the ones with epilogue after them. They're ones that we've worked on to specialize them specifically for these materials. So we'll choose leather. You can see it's dithered it for us. I'll click OK. So now I've got the original and the new file. You can see on all of the different pixels here, it's actually added some white space around them. And what that's going to allow us to do is get a really nice engraving on that leather. So I'll delete our original, move that into place. Now I just have to print it, just like we did before. So I'll choose the legend. No, I'm going to choose the zing. Sorry, we're going to do this one on the zing. And 500 dots per inch, raster. Let's set this at 100% speed. And we'll go down to about 18% power, bottom up. Now I don't have to choose any image dithering here because the software actually added the dithering for us, because that's the dot separation basically. We'll set our page size to 3.5 by 4.5 inches. Okay. Okay. And it's sent over to the laser. Okay, back at the laser, I'm just going to put this up in that 0, 0 corner again. And we'll go ahead and focus it. So I'll hit focus on the menu, right down. Just raise that table up till it's just touching. That's good. And we'll reset it. Okay, so I can see my job is here. Turn on the exhaust. And hit go. Now you can see with leather, it darkens it up really nicely as it goes through. If I didn't want it to be quite as dark, I could just speed up the laser a little bit. The way we control speed and power on laser is how deep it's going to go. The speed affects the dwell time of the laser, while the power adjusts how much power is actually directed from the laser. So if I've got a 60-watt laser, I can use 100% power and have a much deeper engraving than on a 30-watt laser if I'm using that same 100%. But if I don't want to use that much power, all I do is decrease that power level to at 50%, and really I'm operating with a 30-watt laser at that point. Now for photographs, what we find is different photographs work better than others. Usually if you don't have a lot of dark background, you're going to get the best engraving possible. Close-up photos work really well. And the types of materials they work on kind of differ too. On leather, marble, wood, those are really the best for photo engraving. But my favorite really is anodized aluminum. I don't even run it through the PhotoLaser Plus software. All I do is invert it and print it. I've done that on iPods, on iPhones, on all types of anodized materials, and really had some great results. I find for photo resolution, when you're engraving, that 500 or 600 dots per inch is really good for leather engraving. On glass or acrylic, I take it down to about 300 dots per inch or 250 on the Zing for a really nice result. Wood, 600 is perfect, but 300 can do a really nice job as well. The nice thing with 300 dots per inch is it will take exactly half the time that a 600 dot per inch engraving will take. So while this is finishing up, what we're going to do is run over to the laser, or back to the computer, and we'll set up our next job. While that photo finishes engraving on the Zing, we're going to go ahead and set up a project for the Mini. It's going to be a glass engraving, so we'll be using a rotary attachment for this one. And what the rotary attachment does is it actually turns the piece as it's engraving. So wine bottles, glasses, mugs, flashlights, anything like that you can put right in the laser and it'll just turn it as it goes. Now setting this up for the laser is really, really easy. So what we're going to do is set our page length first. And this is going to be equal to the height of our glass, so 6 inches. And now the height of the page is actually equal to the circumference of the glass, or 10 inches. So this will be the top of the glass, and this is the bottom of the glass here. And we've already imported our image, So this Photoshop logo here. So let's bring it in. And I want it about 2 inches below the lip of the glass, so right around there. Now one of the secrets for really nice glass engraving is we're just going to adjust the graphic a little bit. We'll grab that black background. We're just going to change that to 80% black. What that's going to do is separate the dots just enough to give you a really nice frosted look when you're engraving. Now it's all set up. Let's go ahead and print it. Choose the Mini as my laser. And so I've got my piece size in here, 6 inches by 10 inches. We'll go ahead and set it at 300 dots per inch for resolution. Turn on autofocus. And for speed and power settings, I'm going to use about 60% speed and 100% power on this one. And the other important thing for when you're working with glass is to change your image dithering. So here I usually use Stucky. So we'll go ahead and change that. It's okay. Okay. And it's on its way to the laser. Okay, so I pulled this out of the Zing. This is our finished product with the leather. You can see how nicely that turned out. It has a nice dark finish to it. You can see all the details of it. When you look at the mustache, you can really see every hair. It's kind of wild how nicely these photographs come out on leather. You can just see so many details on the image. So now that we've seen that, we're just going to go ahead and set up the laser for the rotational device. So what I'll do is turn off the machine, because we're going to have to install the rotary, pull out the table. Now this is our rotational device. What it does is it has 4 wheels here that the piece sits on top of, and it'll turn the piece as it engraves. I can move this piece up and down to level out the area as well. Inside the machine are 3 holes. I'll just set it inside of and plug in the device. Once that's in, lower those rulers and turn on the machine. So that's rebooting. I'm going to go back to the computer real quick and send the job again, because since we had turned it off, just have to hit print again. You can see the laser head actually moved out over the rotary device. Now you know that it knows that the attachment's in the machine. I'll take my glass and just set it on top of the rotary device. You just put it on top of all 4 wheels. Then we're just going to make sure that it's level. So what I'll do is just put this in here, hit XY off, using my focus gauge. It's touching right on that side, so I just want to make sure that this side touches as well. So I'll just jack it up a little bit. There we go. Now I know it's all level. Hit reset. I'll turn on my filtration unit and hit go. So that's the autofocus going, so it's making sure it's at the right height. Now you're seeing a lot of flashback when you're doing glass. Don't worry about it, it's not dangerous to look at, it's no worse than seeing a bright light. You're just seeing how the laser is actually reacting with the material. Yeah, we're getting a really nice frosting on this glass with these settings. The nice thing is, if I'm doing multiple glasses, all I'm going to do is pull out one, put the next one in, hit go again. I could do multiples just one after another that way. And you can see how fast it's really moving. You can barely see the glass turning, but you can see it as the engraving goes that it's actually moving around on the glass. And there we go. It's going to turn back to the starting area. Pull that out. I'll just set this right here for you to take a look at. And I'll pull over a couple other glasses that we've engraved as well, so you can kind of see some of the different images that you can get and just how nice it looks. It's just a really nice professional look on the glass. So next up, what we're going to do is run back to the computer and we're going to set up our last engraving, which is going to be our wood cutting board. Okay, so for our final project here, what we're going to do is actually engrave a wood cutting board. This is one of my favorite projects. It does a really nice job of engraving the bamboo cutting board. You can do a great custom look on these for a kitchen. This one shows off all the different cuts of meat. You can also, we've got ones for pork, for chicken, a whole series of them. Now you can imagine how something like that would sell really well if you wanted to come up with your own version of this and prepare them for the laser. So now it's all set up, all I have to do is print it, choose the legend line as my laser. I'll set it at 600 dots per inch, raster. I've got my page settings all correct in here, so 14.5 by 10.37. I'll set it at about 60% speed, 100% power, bottom up engraving, and I will set this one to Jarvis as my image dithering. Now down here are two things we haven't talked about before, send to laser and send to manager. Now everything that we've done so far we've sent directly to the laser, but we also have a new feature in our Mini, Helix, and Zing line. This was already around in the Fusion for a while now. It's our new job manager. So if I click send to manager, click OK, OK, and also open up our job manager. You can see I've got my Mini 24 laser here. I can actually come over and choose from all the systems I have installed. We'll stick with that Mini 24. Come over the jobs, and you can see the laser, that job we just sent over, all the previous jobs we've printed as well, and all the settings that we have. This will allow you to pull up everything that you've ever sent to the laser. I can categorize it into different folders. So if I do a lot of work for one customer, I could save all their files in that folder. Every time they come back to me, I can just pull it up and run that file. I can also adjust the speed and power settings from here. I can look at a preview of the job. So it's really nice. You can even, when you go into the job itself, if you click here, you can import your settings. So I could save all of my settings in there for bamboo, for the depth that I want, and it'll all be ready to go, imported in, and you can print it again right from here. So we'll close that up, select that, and I'll just choose the print icon. You can see it's printing down here, so we can ready to go back to the machine. Okay, so we have the laser all set up again. What I'll do is just put this into the table. Now, every one of these is just going to be a little bit different for the curving on it, items like that. So we've set this up so that we're going to set a new home position. So I'm just going to hit X, Y off, go, and use that red dot pointer to come right to that top left corner of this raised area here. I know that's exactly the size of the piece that I've sent over. So I'll set home, choose my jobs. I've got my final cow here ready to go. So just close the door and hit go. So the autofocus sets the table to the correct height for us. And it's going to start engraving here. Now, something that everyone seems to ask about is pricing your engraving projects. The first thing we suggest is that you look at the prices of other engraving businesses in your area. It's a really good way to gauge the amount customers are willing to pay for engraving services. It will also help you determine a competitive price for your services. Many engraving businesses use kind of a formula for calculating price. They start with a minimum charge that's going to cover the time of job setup. They can add in an artwork charge, that the time required for creating any logos or artwork. With the laser, it's definitely garbage in, garbage out. So you'll get some logos that people will send you off the internet and other core graphics, but you're going to either have to spend time recreating or tracking down the original vector version of the files. So it's definitely important to include all of this time within your artwork setup. You can also add in your material cost, a charge that covers all the costs of the related materials used to create the project. And of course, the number of items will help you calculate the time required to engrave each piece of the job. Okay, we're all done. You can see just a really nice engraving there. I'll actually pull these over. So all you're going to do now is just wipe off the wood with a little bit of water, and that'll take off all that sap and residue. But as I said before, we'd actually created a whole series of these to use as demonstration pieces, and it really shows off what a nice product line you can create with the laser in just a few minutes. You can customize these with any type of graphic that you'd like. Thanks again for joining us. I've really enjoyed bringing this information to you today, and I hope you found it helpful. For more information, visit us at epiloglaser.com. Be sure to check out our Facebook fans page, which features thousands of our customers sharing ideas for projects on their Epilog laser systems, and other resources as well. Also, please visit our website to check out all the resources that we offer, including a monthly e-newsletter with engraving ideas and the latest news from Epilog, our sample club with hundreds of downloadable files that we've created for the laser, and our knowledge base that's filled with helpful articles on creating artwork. Thank you again, and I look forward to hearing your questions.